Hey everybody, my name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film in Atlanta, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. I'm also an arts reporter for Georgia Voice. We are here today with director Filippo Meneghetti, who has made an amazing film, Two of Us, which was at Toronto in 2019. Did the festival circuit last year. Frameline, it won the best first feature. It came to Out on Film, where it won Best Narrative Jury Award and Best First Feature again, and it's about to open it's going to be on video on demand beginning in February. Thank you so much for joining us, Filippo.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Hi, everybody.
yeah. This is such an amazing film. Can you talk a little bit about how this film came together for you?
Yeah, you mean the starting point of it
That,
all, and what was the story?
yes.
Well, yeah, basically, the film as a long was indeed a long journey, starting from when I was a kid or in the year of my formation, where I witnessed the story of two people that were very important in my life since they pass on to me the passion for cinema. So, well, since I'm a filmmaker today, I guess it meant something. And I witnessed that story, which was much harder actually than the one that the film depicts, and so which is not the story that the film tells. The story of the film is completely invented. But I was struck by what happened to them, and yeah, the environment. I was one day I have the possibility to reach an audience. I would have loved to tell that kind of story, so that somehow as a gesture to give them back something that they gave me, this gift of the passion for cinema.
Mhm.
And then I was looking for years for the right angle to tell that story, because somehow I'm always, what I do is made of images, so I'm always kind of hunting for metaphors and things that I can show that will tell the audience what is going on inside the character.
Okay.
And so one day I came across the neighbor of a friend of mine in Verona, which is actually the town of Romeo and Juliet, fun enough for a love story. The And there were two neighbors, that actually two old women that became widow pretty much at the same time, and to keep each other company, they were living with the two doors always open, the two apartments, one in front of the other, the landing, uh, and they were living on the landing also, keeping all the time these two doors open and speaking to each other from one apartment to the other and circulating. And so when I saw that, it clicked, and I thought that could be a simple and everyday uh, kind of metaphor to tell the story that I had in mind of self-censorship, exclusion, and so on. The door that is always open and then at a certain point shut. Uh, uh, it can give me the possibility to tell that story in a simple and hopefully moving way. And then I've been working on this very first idea for 5 years with my co-writer, with Malisomba Borasmi. We've been writing for 5 years, and then, of course, since it was very tough films to finance, actually,
Yeah.
since my first feature and son, I guess it's usual. And so during these 5 years, so many other things came across our personal experience, our life, people that we met, people that we know. So many other things came into the film and nourishing this very first idea.
Okay. For those who have not seen the film yet, Two of Us is about two women who are neighbors who've been in a long-term relationship. Circumstances happen that sort of force the two women to be a little bit more public about their relationship to each other. The two leading actresses here are just so incredible. How did you find them? How did you go about casting the two leads?
Well, they are both of them kind of legend in their own field. Barbara Sukova is a legend of independent cinema around the world. I mean, she's from Germany, but she's been working with, the list of the directors she's been working with was really scaring to me when I first got to work with her,
Yes.
and so I know her work since always. I mean, since I started to love cinema, I guess. And Martine Chevalier, who plays Madeleine, she's a very important theater actress in France, which haven't made much cinema in her career. And the very first idea I had in mind was to work with two very different actresses,
Mhm.
uh, meaning especially I was looking for somebody more like Barbara, which is a kind of a movie star somehow, and which, because I believe that the actress brings something with her of her own work and life and past within the character. So Barbara, as much as Nina, the character she plays, has nothing to do in a very small town in southern France. So that was the idea. While Martine can melt more easily into a woman of this small town, which the cinema audience maybe don't know very well. And so, and also it was a matter of chemistry. So I was looking for two very different actresses, also about their energy and what they can bring to the character, because I believe chemistry works better with two very different elements, I guess. And they were crazy
Exactly.
enough to trust me and can work.
There's such great chemistry between these two. I mean, how long had they known each other? Did they just meet on this, or had they known each other and worked together before?
Oh no, I met them for, they were involved in the project like midway from to the funding. So with Malistana, with my co-writer, we had time. I started to spend time with them, but separately, since Barbara lives in the States and Martine in Paris, so they never met. And I was meeting them separately, and we started to bring things that I was noticing in them into the character. You spend time together and you understand that, Barbara has that kind of energy, or Martin another one. And so
Yeah.
you try to tailor a little bit the character toward the actress, and because
Yeah.
I believe that's important to do that.
Exactly.
Since they trust you, they're going to play the character. We met all the three of us together. We had dinner in Paris like a couple of months before the shooting, and then the film was, kind of low budget, so short on budget, so we didn't have any time to rehearse.
Yeah.
So basically, we had a reading of the script like the week before, and then we went into production, and we started to work on set.
Okay. There is such complexity
So the
in.
chemistry was just out of cinema, I guess.
Okay. There is such complexity in this relationship. Can you talk a little bit about all that Nina has to deal with? All of a sudden, she has to deal with, you know, the anger, the confusion, the guilt, new people in her life. Can you talk a little bit about all that Nina has to deal with in the course of this film?
Yeah, for sure. She has both of them. They are facing huge
Yes.
challenges in very different ways, without spoiling too much of the film. But for sure, there is one thing that I was really focusing on, which is, the film is really built around this idea of symmetry. By the way, the original title is The Two. Uh, and this idea of things happening twice, and then anyway we shot also a lot of mirror, this idea of the double and the symmetry and the reversing characteristic of life somehow, somehow the dynamic of the character, those two characters, is that somehow through the film Madeleine becomes Nina and Nina becomes Madeleine. They kind of switch places. And that's the real challenge for Nina. She always struggled against the attitude that Madeleine has, not to go public and not to, to live fully their relation. And once things happen, and then she might do that, and she doesn't, and she became the imposter that that she always thought that Madeleine was. So she starts to play the role that Madeleine was playing, and vice versa. And that was very
Okay.
interesting because that's a challenge. And somehow I also had this will that I wanted. The film is a love story for sure, but it is not just a love story. And also I didn't want to give a very complex emotion, so complex, and it's made of so many different things, contradictory things. And in love you have also obsession, the need for the other, and that might be sometimes that's what Nina is also going through, I guess.
Yeah. So this film took some time to get made. Can you talk a little bit about the time it took to actually before you actually started producing this?
Sure. It actually took 5 years to write and finance, and 1 year and a half to to get the whole thing done. So basically, it probably took almost 7 years of my life, 6 for sure, and so it was a long journey. But I guess first feature are like that. Depend what kind of first feature you want to do. I mean, at least this kind of first feature was 6 years, and no surprise in that. And
Yeah.
and well, yeah, it was hard to finance, especially the things that we found more difficult to get the financer on board was the age of the protagonists,
Sure.
because the fact that they are aging, and it wasn't too catchy for the people that had to give us the money. So that was a real deal. But for me it was very important to give an honest representation of age, since as a filmmaker, I feel the responsibility of the images that I'm making. I believe that we live in a society that is pretty much obsessed with youth and
Yeah.
the perfection of the body. And as a filmmaker, I'm responsible for the images that I make. So if I keep making images of bodies that are always young and in shape and perfect as if they were machines, then I don't have to be surprised that everybody is feeling bad with their own body, myself included. I mean,
Okay.
so I believe it's a very important thing to do, because I believe the film shows that you can be charming and beautiful at almost 70 years old without much makeup
Sure.
and shot in extreme close-up, and every wrinkle is an emotion and it tells a story. So that's probably a different way to be beautiful, but still you can be very charming. And I guess the film shows that.
Yeah. This is this is your first film as this is your first feature film. What challenges were there in making your first feature film?
Oh, I huge challenges. First of all, because um, I guess nowadays know that if you want to make a second, you better nail the first one. Otherwise, you risk not to have a second opportunity. So it was very important, and of course, then since it took 6 7 years for me to make the film, to make it, then the stakes are even higher, because it's a huge part of your life. So you really want that to work, and you want that and also I also want to tell that story to get it right, to be truthful, to be rightful in what I was doing and what we've been all working on for a long time. So that was also an important challenge. And as a first feature, you're always short on budget, and you don't have enough days. What is, I guess, typical of every first feature. And so, you have pressure on yourself. Question was about what was like in Toronto,
Yes, yes.
2019. That's it. Is that get it right?
Yes,
So what it was like to screen the film there? That's the
exactly.
question.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Shall I go?
Yeah,
Shall I?
we're still recording. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just talk to me about the experience of taking the film
Right. All
to
right.
Toronto in 20.
Well, it was first feature, first time, and it's such a huge festival. So it was a huge emotion, and especially I was there with Barbara, and she didn't see the film before, so I was even
Yeah.
more under stress because I really wanted her to like the film. So I have this memory of being really stressed before the first screening, and really stressed. And then it went very well, and the audience loved it, and Barbara as well. So it was, first of all, a huge relief, I guess, and then you've been working for 6 years or 7, and then you're there in Toronto, and people will see the film, and what you thought it was something very an intimate or private almost gesture that you made thinking about somebody in person that you know and so on, because
Mhm.
at the end of this first screening I had people coming, and they were moved by the story and the film, and that was such a gift, because when you finish a film after all the time, you're just tired, you just
Exactly.
you don't know anything anymore about the film. It's just like you've been spending so much time in the editing room, mixing, working on sound, working on music, and you just want, basically, you want to get rid of it, meaning that you want that the audience will have it and will make what they
Exactly.
want with it, with the emotion
Exactly.
they can get. So when in this case it works out very well. It is a gift, and it makes, and everything, the 6 years, 7 years, whatever, makes sense, and suddenly, and that was a real great gift.
Sure. Filippo, there are not a whole lot of films that deal with the elderly. There I can count on maybe one hand the number of films that deal with elderly lesbians. Can you talk a little bit about, the fact that there aren't many films that deal with this kind of subject matter?
Yeah, sure. That's what I was talking about before.
Hmm.
I feel the responsibility as a filmmaker to represent the word for what it is
Sure.
in its complexity, and I really I took that subject and those character, again, because I had some people, precise people, real people in mind, which are not didn't inspire the character exactly, but inspire me to tell that kind of story. And but then I can understand why there are a few films talking about the subject, since I saw how hard was to finance the film
Mm, yeah.
about it, because we were accumulating different several things that are
Yeah.
not too catchy somehow, and so the amount of it, and being my first feature, was not that good looking for the financer. So I really can understand why there are not so many film on the subject. And at the same time, I really believe that us filmmakers are again responsible for that. I mean, somehow. And so it is it makes sense to me to try to do that, and eventually, to, if it happens, to do that and to tell that kind of story, because I believe then we are not exactly represent the reality. We are, sublimating the reality through cinema. You know, you are not telling a real story. You're not. It's not about being completely naturalistic or whatever, but it's about dealing with things that touches you in reality and in real life, and try to make something out of it, and put them into the world of representation that exists out there, and hopefully trying to have an influence on that kind of world, even if it's a small, very tiny drop in the sea. It's still a drop. And so better to have that and to do that than something else. I mean, it's important. It's important to do that, and it was something that was driving me through the years of struggling that we had to get that done.
Exactly. This film has played to great acclaim throughout the world. It's played at mainstream film festivals. It's played at LGBTQ film festivals, and it's just so universal. People love this. Why do people respond to this film so well?
Well, that's a good question. I hope, at least my hope while making the film, was first of all to care about the story I was telling, and about the character, to love my character, try to be rightful and truthful to the core of the things that I had in mind that I wanted to tell, and really try to put as much as I could love in it, and love for what I do, but also love for the people I'm depicting, and it was clear while writing with my co-writer that we really wanted the film to be as universal as possible. Meaning, my craziest goal was our craziest goal was to get somebody that doesn't feel close to the story that we are telling, or the characters that we are creating,
Hmm.
and have that person slightly change her or his mind about it. And that was very important to us. Because it is, the film is about self-censorship, self-censorship, or struggling with your own gaze on yourself, and struggling with the other people gaze on yourself, and uh, also with the obsession that comes with love. And those things are universal. They touches everybody lives that,
Ex-
can experience that. And so we really wanted to go through that, to be able to talk with the larger possible number of people. And it happened a couple of times. I had that kind of reaction from the audience before the pandemic. I had 6 months in traveling with the film. uh, and I had very moving moment after the screening, or I had a letter from through somebody that knows one of the actors. It was a very long trip, but this letter eventually got to me. It took time, of a woman that said in her letter, that was addressed to me, that she doesn't like LGBT people. She doesn't like all this thing, all these issues. She doesn't like the film that deals with that. She went to see the wrong picture in a film festival, which was my picture, and which I love that when she says that. I love it. And she went to see the wrong picture, and she came out crying and feeling. She wrote this. That she, at the end of the film, she felt the emotion of the character in her own flesh. And I was really moved, when she wrote that, because when, you know, even if it happens to just one who have worked for 6 years, you know. So I
Exactly.
was really, really touched when it happened.
That's a great story. I know that here in the United States, movie theaters are open, but audiences have been a little hesitant to go back. But I'm wondering, has the film played at theaters across the world? Like in France, has it played in any theaters elsewhere
Yeah,
outside
it did play in
outside of
theater
France?
in France.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. It was released in France 3 weeks before the lockdown, the first lockdown. So
okay,
not the best timing ever, but so we were still in theater, unfortunately, when they closed it down.
exactly.
And but okay, it was still a release, and it was doing well. But then it was also in the Netherlands,
Hmm.
and it did very well there this
Great.
summer. And in Germany, which was very much, I mean, was really in the wrong moment in Germany with the pandemic. I think it did very well in Norway when it was released there. And then all the other countries are waiting now, and we'll see how it plays out. But again, you know, it's my first feature. When I realized that it was sold for a theatrical release in like 24 countries. For me, it was unbelievable. You know,
Thank
I never thought about it while making the film, uh, which is maybe naive, but it is what it is. I never thought that it can go that far. And so again, for me as a filmmaker, that's just a gift, you know, and it's just a gift. And I'm
Congratulations so
very
much.
happy about it, of course.
Yeah. So I know that the film is going to be available for audiences in the US beginning in early
Mm.
February. Can you talk a little bit about where people can see the film in early February?
I think it's released on the 5th of February,
Okay.
and I think it should be in theaters, but according to what will happen, also in virtual, I mean, in streaming and platform. But to be completely honest with you, I'm not there. But I know it is the 5th of February. That's for sure. That's release date,
Gotcha.
and I
So
hope people will see it also in theater
yes, people definitely
somehow.
need to see this film. So the Golden Globes will be announcing their nominees very soon. So let's all cross our fingers that two of us is nominated for Best International Feature. And then hopefully, the funny thing about this year is that the Academy's schedule is so crazy with moving things. Usually around this time, we have the international film shortlist. But so you are again France's official submission for the 2021 Academy Awards. Let's all cross our fingers that you are nominated or on the shortlist this year. So it's completely deserving. Filippo, thank you so much for this extraordinary
Thank
film. Please see Two of Us, and it's available on February the 5th. You will absolutely love the film. And thank you again, Filippo, for talking with us today.
Thanks so much to you, and take care.
Thank you. We're going to, once again.
I hope you can edit all the technical